Welcome to a brand new edition of Are You Live? I am so excited to have Michael Tracey, who does not have a proper journalistic byline anymore. He is just an independent journalist, which is why I love him even more. Is this true?
I suppose. I have bylines technically at various places I contribute to, but it's correct in that I have no
Bio is what I mean.
No bio.
No, I mean no. What do you call it? You know, it's a bio, and when you write an article,
it's a byline. We would byline.
You're just byline. You're an independent journalist now.
Yeah, I mean, I guess we're all independent in a way, but that's how I tend to be defined. So I've just gone with it.
Okay, but you're no longer on staff with anybody.
No, I'm not. I don't have a staff position right now.
Right, and but you did have staff positions at Young Turks and at Vice, sort of, or were you just a columnist? Or
Vice, I was just a columnist, so that wasn't technically a staff position, which thank God, because that meant I didn't have to deal with anybody about personnel issues, except for the one or two editors that I interacted with. So that was actually preferable. And the media industry is like cratering right now. So, I'm not even that. There was a time where I did sort of pine for a more established position that had like set hours and stuff. But at a certain point, it just seemed untenable. So, I felt like it was probably up to me individually to devise a sustainable model. And I'm sure you probably feel something similar with your endeavors.
Oh, indeed. You said something very mean today on Twitter. Well, you say something very mean every day on Twitter, which is why I love you.
Well, I try to do it with a kind heart, which maybe gets obscured.
Well, it's just that like you say these mean things, but like your targets are always people I want to hit too. So it always makes me feel. But this was some cold shit, man. The Atlantic. And we just had Connor Friedersdorf on this show by the way, a couple weeks ago. So an Atlantic writer. The Atlantic just laid off 65 people from the editorial staff or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
A massive amount of people. And you said something.
Well, it wasn't even like a massive percentage of their editorial staff, apparently.
Really?
It's a massive. It was. I think I saw there was something like 15 or 17% of their editorial staff, which means they have a lot more staff than I guess I was aware of. But at the same time, I think I also was like vaguely aware that they had expanded rather dramatically recently, given that Steve Jobs' widow is funding the thing.
I didn't know about her doing that. Okay, so they have hundreds of people in editorial over there at the Atlantic. That's crazy.
I mean, I would need to go fact check these claims, even though they're not that consequential claims. But I don't want to just be spouting off if I don't know the full details. But you identified the gist of it, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, but you said your tweet was, what was it? You're because the Atlantic has been so terrible during the Trump era. You're going to reserve your layoff sympathy for what was it? Grocery or restaurant workers?
I think I said restaurant workers. You could substitute grocery workers or truck drivers or whoever. Although truck drivers actually aren't necessarily being laid off right now, but the people who actually have taken the brunt of the pandemic, lockdown, economic misery. Of course, all the media people, because those laid off are probably in their circles, they're all obliged to express how profoundly saddened they are by these developments. And I'm just like not, at least relatively speaking, I'm not that sad about it. I'm sorry. Not that I don't have sympathy for the people who lost their livelihoods or lost their jobs temporarily. But, in the grand scope, given that we're like shedding millions of jobs every week, probably more, they're probably being undercounted.
Right.
I'm just not going to get myself particularly worked up to, send my condolences to somebody who's probably producing content that I despise.
Yeah.
Which has become more and more common under the editorship of Jeffrey Goldberg, who I think assumed the reins in 2015, 16. He was definitely there in 2016 as the editor-in-chief. And he helped stop me if I'm rambling here, but
no, go. Yeah.
I am acutely aware that he was integral, Jeffrey Goldberg, in spurring the early phases of the Trump-Russia conspiracy panic. Like he kind of helped, he synthesized what these theories were in the very early stages when there were only bits and pieces of disparate information that were out. he was a dot connector. He connected the dots then, and that kind of formed the foundation of what would later spiral totally out of control into the all-encompassing and ever-evolving Trump-Russia narrative. So I kind of resent him till the end of time for that, and I've actually denounced him in various forums
And that's
for that.
And that's not even counting his worst crime, which was being the chief cheerleader for the Iraq War.
No, exactly. I mean, all the chief cheerleaders for the Iraq War were rewarded.
Yeah.
They ascended through the ranks of elite journalism.
Yeah.
Including David Frum, who Jeffrey Goldberg brought right on, his buddy, as a senior editor of The Atlantic, and churned out constant Trump-Russia, fantasyland nonsense. And, we've learned, or I've learned, you should have learned, others should have learned but haven't, that the elite media kind of functioned as this feedback loop, or it created a feedback loop around Trump-Russia where when the Jeffrey Goldbergs or the David Frum types would put out their prognostication as to what was really going on with the Russia issue, we saw that the security state officials would then react, and they would inform their kind of law enforcement and intelligence assessments of what was going on, and they would use that then as a pretext to continue further actions within their capacities in whatever they were, in the FBI, CIA, and so forth. So it's truly crazy, and I would have to go double check this, but I'm pretty sure that when the Twitter account of Peter Strzok was first uncovered, he's one of these FBI officials who was in the news most recently for having conducted the interview with Michael Flynn in the very early phase of the Trump presidency, like within a week or two. Mm-hmm. It later came out that he was like following all these types of people on his Twitter account. I don't have I should have gone and refreshed my memory on this before spouting off, but I believe that's true. But even if it's not, the general point is true in that you had this bizarre cycle of the elite media saying something, the intelligence and law enforcement officials processing those things, and then it just steamrolling and creating this dynamic whereby Trump-Russia just became an all-encompassing, shit show.
Yeah, I noticed that. There was a little bit of talk about Russia over the last 4 years in the media, just a little bit. So for those of you who don't...
No, but I'm saying, but Jeffrey Goldberg was integral in starting it. That's why
And it would be interesting to do like a Venn diagram of those people who are most hawkish on Iraq and those who are most hawkish against Trump. I bet there's a lot of overlap there, right?
There's a lot of overlap, at least in terms of this sort of narrow clique of people who transitioned into more prominent media roles, David Frum and Goldberg being paramount examples. So like, it's like kind of ex-Republican types. I mean, Jeffrey Goldberg, I guess, was sort of center left, but always very much at home with the hawkish internationalist of the varying persuasions, whether it be the liberal interventionists or the neocons.
He's like a new Democrat, right?
Yeah, like I think his ideal vision of the presidency would be like, I'm trying to think, but like some whatever like the current iteration of Bill Clinton could theoretically be, like a 40-year-old, really ostensibly charismatic guy with like new great ideas, which for some bizarre, some reason that nobody could anticipate, always take the form of like deranged interventionism and pro-Israel furor. That would probably be Jeffrey Goldberg's
or a person named,
ideal,
or a person named Hillary, I would imagine would have been.
Yeah, I mean, Jeffrey Goldberg fit perfectly well into the intellectual firmament, so to say, that would have conceivably surrounded Hillary.
Right.
But I feel like if he could like construct his ideal candidate in a lab, it would be like a 42-year-old.
Okay.
It would be like Ben Sass,
okay,
but a center-left Democrat, if that makes sense.
Yeah. All right. If you're watching this on YouTube and you'd like to participate in RU Live sessions or just watch them live, become a member of Renegade University by going to renegadeuniversity.com. Once you're a member, you'll also be able to watch the entire RU Live sessions on our website at renegadeuniversity.com. So go there, become a member at any level, and we'll see you there.